everyone, I'm once again doing another video talking about my stories. This time it's about Demon Child. Like Tales of Dawn, Demon Child had many rewrites and many redesigns before becoming what it is today, and like Tales of Dawn, Demon Child was written when I was in high school. So expect a lot of garbage writing in Demon Child. Yeah. Sadly, I couldn't find any drawings from my first couple of drafts for Demon Child except for this very horrible cover. Like, I can't even look at it. Just, it looks terrible. I really don't like looking at my old art, but my mom forces me to keep them so I can do videos like this. So I should appreciate that my mom don't let me throw stuff out, but still, I don't like it. Look how horrible it looks. But I guess an artist comes from somewhere. Alright. Anyways, I might not have any of the drafts, but I do remember what the story was supposed to be about. So, here we go. The original story was called Soul Academy. It was based in a school full of monsters and demons. The whole idea was inspired by Soul Eater, Rosario Vampire, and Monster High. And I loved manga and anime so much that I drew a lot of my comics backwards like a manga. So, yeah, I'm so glad I'm not doing that anymore. Oh my god, it was such an inconvenience to do too. Anyways, the plot was about two witch sisters named Sin and Jinx. These were Lala's series' original name and original designs. Going to this school to look for their missing mother, whose last location was at the school. While attending the school, the two sisters would meet a variety of monsters and demons that can either be their friends or enemies. To make things harder for the girls, they also had to deal with these curses that were put upon them by this unknown person who was involved with their mother's disappearance. And that's it. While remembering it, it does sound interesting, but it really does feel like it was written by an amateur. I was trying to be really clever with these curses to make the story more interesting by having Sin bring the worst out of anyone she meets. So she'll always be having to fight someone each chapter, while Jinx brings misfortune to everyone around her. So it makes things harder for her. And for some reason, I made Jinx into a teacher despite her supposed to be 16 to 17 years old. I think the logic I used back then was that because of her curse, she jinxed herself into becoming a teacher because she hated being a student so bad. It made sense in my head back then. It doesn't make sense here. That sounds like I jumped a lot of hoops to make that make sense. So I tried to change the story to make it make sense so I can keep the ideas, but it didn't work out the way I wanted anyways. So I had to start over before the story even started. Before I start my second rewrite, I decided to focus on the characters more and make them more interesting than I already made them. So I made Sin and Jinx into demons because I was at that point reading Bleed Men's Grim Tales and I fell in love with Mimi's design, so I used her for my demon designs for Sin and Jinx, so I had to stop and redesign them again to make sure that they are not copies of her, but were inspired by her. At least at this point, they look okay, but I did get better the more I drew them later down the road. I am so glad I got better drawing them. Now they look so much more better, more original. Oh, thank you, time and practice. So now that the girls are down packed, did I start my rewrite? No, I went to design other characters, which is okay because I needed to know who and what the other characters are going to be before I even start the rewrite, right? So who are these characters? There was this boy named Dean who was in the first draft but wasn't labeled as a monster. He wasn't even a human either. I didn't know what kind of monster he was going to be, but later down the road I made him into a homunculus and I changed his name to Dean. He was supposed to be this very edgy, cool boy that every girl likes, but he, of course, likes the main character for no reason other than her being the main character. You know, those stereotypical male leads teenage girls were always making. He was later dropped and replaced by Cedric because I didn't like how I was writing him. And he was getting way too needy. He was getting to that You ever read one of those romance comics and the male lead has like this aggressive obsessiveness towards the female lead that it just became creepy and you're wondering like, he's not good for you and yet he's the male lead? Yeah, that was Dean and I didn't want that. So I just removed Dean later down the road and replaced him with Cedric that is more respectful. But that doesn't mean that I'm not going to use Dean again. I probably will figure out what to do with Dean later down the road. I have a few ideas. I just need to fix him. Another character that I made but no longer have a place for him in the current story, but I did have him in the rewrites, was a character named Arnold D. Hughes, a teacher and a scientist who likes to cause trouble for his students and the sisters especially. He was the one who made Dean for some reason. I also don't like how I was writing his character. He was becoming more and more annoying and I was trying to make him funny, but he wasn't. I also wanted him to be like this mysterious character. I just didn't know how to do that and I was just doing things. I clearly wasn't thinking that far ahead, or I was thinking too far ahead. I don't know, teenage mind. So yeah, another character I had is a character named Van, which in my videos, I do have a version of a comic. Van actually exists in any of my drafts, and he was supposed to be this mean-spirited spirit. He's supposed to influence Sin to do bad things, but I later dropped the character because it just felt unnecessary. But I do use his design for other things later down the road. There's also this werewolf girl named Darcy who is always eager to fight and the only one who mostly stay the same throughout all my rewrites, and she does exist in my latest rewrites. But the only thing that I changed about her is her appearance, and I made her look more like a werewolf, like instead of like one of those girls who has just the ears and the tail. So I actually made her look more like a werewolf than just, I don't know how else to call it. And the last one is this succubus girl, but I never actually gave her a name when she was succubus, and I had to immediately change her design as soon as I drew her because I was trying to be inspired by Rosario Vampire, this character named Missouri, who is this frost fairy. So I decided to make her look more like Bubbles because I guess I was more comfortable with making her like Bubbles. It's because Sin was Blossom and Darcy was Buttercup. So to make the whole collection completed, the succubus had to be Bubbles. And I wind up just mold her into Bubbles. So I changed her into a sea monster named Misty. Oh my god, now I remember. And then I turned her into a sea fairy, still containing the name Misty. And then I decided, no wait, make her green and make her into a forest fairy named Leafy. That was a terrible name. And then I decided to turn her into a moth person. That at least she looks cooler. And I think I named her... Oh, I don't have a name for her. I think I had someone on my Deviantart give me a name for her. Because I didn't have a name for her for so long. Because I could not figure out a name. And this person, I'm not going to say their name. I'm not going to spell it out. Helped me with the name. And they gave her Vesper. Just so they can do like a nickname named Vespi or Vessi or Vespes. I was gonna call her Vespi, but whatever. I like the name Vesper a lot. So yeah, that works out. But back to the original drafts. I'm getting off topic. I'm talking about characters, and that's how it happened. So yeah, anyways, the characters are going great, right? But what about the story? It was going nowhere. Why? What happened? It's because the characters had changed, so they no longer fit the story anymore. So I had to rewrite everything again and again and again. I kept going back to the first chapter over and over and over again, but it never felt right. The story never fit with the changes that I made, no matter what I did. And I was trying to make this story work with all these new ideas. And I don't understand why it was working. And then I realized it was never going to work because all these new ideas did not fit the original plot because the original plot technically never changed. And because I was refusing to change that specific part, nothing was going to work with everything else. I even went so far as to change the name from Soul Academy to Devil's Child to fit the fact that the girls are now demons. But it wasn't working. Nothing I do was working. The changes that I made, it keep feeling like a different story, and it wasn't matching the plot. And no matter how much I try, it was not sticking to the original plan. So it only made sense to change the plot and start an entirely new story. Not just the beginning and changing a few things, actually making a whole new story. So this is my take 2 of Devil's Child that I later called Demon Child. Sin and Jinx are now Lila and Cerise. I turned their curses into their powers that they can do freely. They work for this organization called Bliss. The name is supposed to be an acronym, stand for Beloved Loyalist Saintly Saviors. I could have done better. The sisters used their powers to help Bliss bring peace between the species that lived in their world. But sadly, they were not treated well. Most of the Bliss agents don't even see them as equals. They just see them as dirty demons that need to do as they say. The only time they give them any amount of respect is because of their mother, who is this powerful witch that has the ability to see into the future. Sadly, they basically had to threaten her to have them work for them. The plot was less adventurous this time, with the story just being about the life of Lila and Cerise and their hardships of being demons, at least half demon. I thought it was too boring, so I put this in. Shepherd. She's Lila's inner demon that is trying to convince Lila to let go of everything and just sleep so the inconvenience of the world would no longer hurt her. She's also trying to take over Lila's body, trying to convince Lila that she can handle all of her problems if she just let her take control. Lila doesn't let her. She doesn't even bat an eye to her. She never listens to her. Shepherd is an indirect curse that Lila got in one of her undercover missions. On this mission, she was supposed to find this person who was cursing people and turning them into demons. While there, Lila made some friends that she wanted to protect, so she placed this protection spell on them. So if they were ever to get hurt, that pain will transfer to her. They will be like automatically healed. It's okay, since Lila was like half demon, that whatever wound that she got, it would like go away like almost immediately. She doesn't even feel it. One day, they all got cursed, but because of this charm, it wasn't as bad as the other victims. However, it still made the friends suffered. Sadly, Lila got blamed for the cursing due to her being a demon, and also the charm that she placed on all of them, and they think that's a curse mark. The people in that area sent her to jail in this faraway place that no one can find her at. And this unknown prison had a bunch of scientists that did experiments on her. And it's due to this experience, Lila kind of shut down with her emotions and her motivations to do anything. She kind of like became emotionless and tired of life, but also tired of always fighting control of her body with this demon that claims that she only here to help her. So yeah, so far so good, right? But now what's wrong? Because there's clearly something wrong. Actually, it's not really a big thing. I just wanted it to be written better because it felt like I was rushing to the main plot, which is Lila's backstory of her original mission and all that, which is not a bad thing. It's just in the beginning of chapter 1, the Bliss thing. So there's this Bliss thing, and now there's this other thing of this random person. I feel like there's so many plot lines that is going on, and I need to pace myself a lot better and stick with one plot at a time instead of doing everything at once. So I just want to rewrite this story, not to the point that it's extremely different. I just want to make sure I'm pacing myself. So the story will come out a lot better than it was before. At least in this rewrite, there is progress with Lila's story, especially with the videos. The videos help so much with making her story grow a lot better. I have a rough idea what exactly I want from Lila's story. I was so depressed for a while because I really wanted Demon Child to work. It was so easy for Tales of Dawn, and even the Villainous Truth is having an easier time getting its footing, and it's brand new. I was thinking, what was I doing wrong? Is Demon Child not meant to be a story? No, it wasn't that. I was so focused on keeping its old roots that I became stuck. Even when I was trying to force new things in it, it wasn't working. I had to admit that the original story was not working, and I actually had to let it go. It worked for Tales of Dawn, it's working for Villainous Truth, and it will work for Demon Child. I just need to be patient and take my time and keep going. I hope this was helpful for all you creators. It actually helped me clear up my mind. Now I can make Demon Child the way I wanted with little worries. I will always be worried about the stuff I make, but I'm not going to be dejected about it. And I'm going to have fun making this story. And I hope you guys have fun making your story. That's it for the video. Now goodbye.